These guys have got me worked out. They don't go live until I say we're ready.
Testing.
Basically.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Testing.
Yeah, that's working. I can hear you. I can hear John. Can you hear me up there?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Now. Well, I think you know we're here. A very good afternoon to you, wherever you may be. Welcome to Sears Workwear Oval, adjacent to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos Rugby League Club premises in Queanbeyan on what I would say is about an 11-degree day here, just across the border from Canberra, for what is really potentially a season-defining game for these two sides. It's the Queanbeyan Kangaroos and the Yass Magpies in competition this afternoon in the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup for 2018. It's a round 14 affair. My name is Chris Coleman. Alongside me, as usual, for a quick pre-match preview is John Kreuter from the Canberra Raiders Cup. G'day, John.
Hey, Chris. Good to be here. You know, you've been in Canberra too long. When 11-degree day, you feel like getting the shorts and t-shirt out. So it's a beautiful day out here.
An 11-degree day, and you think it's perfect conditions for footy. You know, that's when you know too. Although I've got to confess, I have brought the gloves today because when you're sitting still on the sideline, it can get a little bit chilly, especially as the shade creeps across our commentary position later on in the afternoon. Fascinating fixture in prospect for us this afternoon. Absolutely fascinating. Third place Queanbeyan Kangaroos, sixth place Yass Magpies. Now, in the context of these two sides, you can interpret it one of two ways. Queanbeyan's position slightly inflated because they've had two byes, or Yass's position slightly understated because they've only had one. But it is how it is on the competition table. The Kangaroos have 19 competition points from 7 wins, 3 losses and a draw, and the for and against of 90. The Yass side have 7 wins, 5 losses, 16 competition points and a for and against differential of 10 points. How do you see this one going this afternoon?
Well, I think the Kangaroos have got to be favourites. They're in third place for a reason. They're one of the competition favourites at the start of the year. Yass coming in off the back of 2 losses, but before that they had a good run of about 4 or 5 wins there. So they have shown that they've got good form, but they have struggled to beat the Roos. I don't think they've beaten them since they've come back into the competition after being in the George Took Shield during the 2015 season. So they haven't won since they've been back in the Canberra Raiders Cup. So
they really need to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, we are here to be counted. And really, if they want to take part in the finals, this is one that they've got to win. They've got to take some points off teams above them, and this would be a prime candidate for them to do that because, again, factor in the bye that they're yet to have, which is still, I think, a couple of weeks, so actually it's next week for them, for Yass. So if they were to win this basically gives them a 4-point turnaround, and it gives them the chance to get past that Queanbeyan side, who are 3 points ahead of them on the competition table this afternoon. Looking at the lineups for this afternoon, if you've checked your rugby league record, you'll see the sides are there. The only change compared to the advertised program is that for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, the centres have swapped, so Cronin will be in 3, Henderson will be in 4, but otherwise both sides line up this afternoon as per program. I think the key part for this Queanbeyan Kangaroos side this afternoon, it's this real attacking mix they've got across 10, 11, 12. Kylie, 6 tries for the season. And Nagiri, 8 tries for the season. Ayers, 5 tries for the season. And they mix it up. It's not one guy doing all the work for the past 4 weeks. You were telling me before, John, that Jake Kylie has been in rare form indeed for a front row forward.
Exactly. I think he's played a little bit on the edge as well from memory, but yeah, he's been outstanding for them, really stepping up. He's kind of always been around the fringes of first grade, but really making his mark this season. The guy I've been really impressed with is Josh Ayers. He's been playing second row, a bit of centres, after playing mainly as a prop last year. He's lost a bit of weight. He's looking really good, and he just wants to win a premiership. He hasn't done that yet in his career. He captained Queanbeyan, and he's been in the last 2 grand finals for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. He'll be looking to try and get trying to get his first premiership. So he's been really impressive for mine.
And of course, before we move on to a quick look at the Yass Magpies side, for the Kangaroos, you can't discount some potency in their backline. Headline, of course, Brian Cronin, 8 tries so far for the season, and a very, very dangerous player, especially in the broken field.
Oh, exactly. Plenty of speed across that backline. One thing I'm looking at to have a big game today is Brent Crisp. He was obviously the form player of the competition last year, won the McIntyre medal, hasn't really reached those heights, and I think that's the scary thing with this Queanbeyan Kangaroo side. Like, they've been good, they've got a chance to go second today if they win, but Brent Crisp hasn't been in any sort of the form that he was before that. So if he gets firing, they're going to be a real force.
Is it fair to say that even Tuggeranong, who are on top of the table, there's no side that's really set themselves up as competition favourites, is there, this year?
I'd argue that. I think Tuggeranong have set themselves as competition favourites. I think they've been outstanding. Josh Mitchell and Mick Picker have just led that side around so well. So for me, I think they're favourites. Kangaroos have a chance to dispute that, though. I think they're probably the next best side in the competition.
I just remember the game that I saw Tuggeranong versus West Belconnen earlier in the year at Greenway, and that Tuggeranong side that day, they showed that they were capable of being every bit as bad as anyone else on their day. So I just think that there's still enough uncertainty around in this competition for any side to beat anyone else as the afternoon progresses. Let's turn to Yass. As you said, last couple of weeks they've lost. No disgrace in those 2 losses. Yeah, they were given a hiding by Tuggeranong, but there have been a few sides that have been on the wrong end of big scorelines from Tuggeranong in the past couple of weeks. Woden Valley, the other side that knocked them off, and that Woden Valley Rams side, well, they really showed their credentials last week, giving the West Belconnen Warriors a hiding in our Bar TV Osbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup match of the round last week. But prior to that, they had good wins against Belconnen United, the Queanbeyan Blues and Goulburn, so they are capable of putting up points on the board, but they also are capable of, shall we say, replacing their heads with pumpkins at times.
Yeah, they have been. I think the big thing for them is they got that win against the Queanbeyan Blues. That was a tough win. They just got the line, really good defence that day, and I think the fact that they got that win gives them a bit of belief going into this game. The Blues was another side they hadn't had a win against since they'd come back in the competition. So now that they've ticked off the Blues, and they'll be looking to try and repeat that today. So again, it's going to be a high quality game. I'm really looking for Tom Warner again to really lead from the front. He's been outstanding. His match-up with the likes of Steve Dunn and Jake Kyle is going to be outstanding. Jacob Toppin as well. From what I've seen, he hasn't really gotten back into that form before his suspension. Hasn't really hit top gear. He's been good, but I'll be expecting him to have a big game today if Yass are going to win.
Well, that's what we need to see. The thing that I thought has impressed me, and I've said this in the past about this Yass side, is you just never know where their points are going to come from. They've got players all over this side who can score tries. You've got Steve Norton, Willie Peace, Junior Vaticani, Jai Smith in the backs. In the forwards, you've mentioned Tom Warner, but Jacob Toppin, the little hooker, can get in there as well, as can Jesse McDonald. So there's plenty of scoring options for this Yass Magpies side, and that makes them very difficult to defend against because they can mix it up and they can swap plays and tactics mid-game, which makes them a very dangerous opponent.
Yeah, exactly. Keep an eye out for all those white headgears to be floating around, popping up everywhere. So you've got Andrew Swaffield, the winger, who played fullback last year, very good player. Steve Norton, who played in the halves last year, he's playing fullback now. And then you've got Scott Norton, Chris Rawlinson, and so they're all interchangeable. They're running around everywhere, and then you've got Jared Tecker coming off the bench as well. So it can be a little bit like touch footy at times. It's pretty exciting to watch.
It can be. We are expecting plenty of highlights this afternoon. I've got to say a big thank you to our good friends as well at Bloomers Personal Injury Lawyers for being on board as sponsors of our broadcasts again, our web broadcasts, and our good friends at Bar TV this afternoon. John, I know you've got plenty to do this afternoon. We'll catch up with you a bit later on.
Cheers, Chris. Hopefully it's a good one.
John Kreuter from the Canberra Raiders Cup with us just for a quick look at what is expected this afternoon, and you can see the sides getting set for this big one. 3rd versus 6th it is. Really looking forward to this as we get to the pointy end of the season, and it's at the point now where games almost count for double. You can see your season evaporate very, very quickly if the wrong thing happens during a game this afternoon or this late in the season. So we do expect to see how some players respond under additional pressure here at Sears Workwear Oval this afternoon. This Queanbeyan Kangaroos side, they've said they want to finish top 2. I think we all know in a Final Four situation what a big advantage that top 2 berth is. And so the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, well, for them to do it, they've just got to keep on winning. That is the way that it works this afternoon. Tyson Flynn, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd time in a row, certainly the 2nd, possibly the 3rd time in 4 weeks I've seen him in action. He is the referee as the Queanbeyan Kangaroos in the light tops and the maroon shorts running from left to right on your screen, kicking off, and it's the Yass Magpies in the traditional black and white jerseys making their way from right to left to open proceedings here at Sears Workwear Oval. And as you may be able to spot, there's plenty of headgear out there for the Yass side, not just headgear but headbands, and I reckon that was Kyle Danilchak in the bottom of the pile on that run up. It is always an interesting ground to call footy from here at Sears Workwear Oval. Our commentary position just a little bit lower and further back from the field, so it does make it a little bit hard to sometimes pick up the direction of runners, as we see Tom Warner with his first hit up for the day there in the big number 8 jersey, and he gets the Yass Magpies just into just over halfway as the kick comes downfield. And for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, I thought it might have been Tuckwell to take it, but instead that's Grant, Nick Grant, their speedy fullback, and he makes some meterage for them as well. Gets up over the 30-metre line, does Grant. Good start for him for today. And I reckon that's Henderson turning around. The other thing we have to contend with here is there's a lot of glare from the sun, especially from the car park off to the left, which you don't necessarily see in the footage, but it does make it a little bit interesting when the ball gets up in the air. You can down to that end of the field, you can lose it a bit. And speaking of losing it, the ball has come adrift. It seems to have got a bit of a helping hand, and it's a penalty to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. They get the first one for the day. And it'll be Brent Crisp to put it into touch for them from right on halfway. He's not far in, so he's got a chance to really make some metres. How far does he go with it? About 15. So they'll start this set about 35 out from the scoring line, this Queanbeyan Kangaroos side. Don't get too far on the first play. It was Kylie who had the ball for them up to the 30. Not trying anything fancy this afternoon yet, this Kangaroos side. Now they come across to the right, go through hands, and it winds up with Wiley. Earlier in the year we were out here and there was Wiley, Kylie and Riley. I think it was in 12, 13, 14 on the board, or possibly 13, 14, 15 on the board. No such joy with that this afternoon. Now Reece Elton thinks about scurrying over from dummy half instead, puts it around, finds Hay, I think it was it is Hay in the black headgear. And a quick pass there, really working up the middle. That was Crisp, looks to go for the line on the last tackle but can't make it, and he goes to ground just short, and it'll be the Yass Magpies to bring it out from about a metre out from their own line. So a couple of minutes gone here and no score in this match of the round, as we see the Kangaroos up in numbers, trying to push the ball back into the in-goal area. And Yass on the next one take advantage of being able to actually get the ball out with a little bit more distance because of a few Queanbeyan players still getting back on side from the tackle. I see Nukuru Nagiri in making the tackle. That's Danilchak now, or Danilchak, I'm told it's pronounced, as he makes his way up to the 30. And now they're on their way, this Yass side, up to the 40-metre line. Again, that was McDonald who had that. Now we see the kick come downfield. Grant has it again. Had a good kick return last time. Has to go a little bit across field. Looks for the gap. Finally finds it. Brought to ground on the 30-metre line. So it gives them a good platform, possibly a better platform than maybe anticipating for the second step, for their second possession. I thought I saw the ball bobble in there. I did see the ball bobble in there. It came loose. It had a hand on it to help it come loose. Second penalty for the day for the same infringement. Slightly further back this time, but again, we'll see Chris. He's got a good kicking boot. Obviously, he's decided that he likes to start play from about the 35 because that's where he's put it down to. In fact, he's gone even further than that, has he? He's gone down to the 30 this time. The longer kick from further back, so working a bit more of an angle. And now the Kangaroos make their way to the red zone. Alternate dummy half. Easy to pick in the grey headgear. They'll continue to... No, they'll go back to the left. That's Derek Hay. Turns, goes right. Heads toward the line, and he's, about 5 metres out when he's finally called held in the tackle. Now they come back to the left, to the right again, rather. Pardon me, being directionally challenged. Only a couple of metres out. They've got numbers if they can get the ball. Well, the slow pass to Nagiri wasn't ideal. They've lost a few metres back to about the 10. Now it's across to the left with Chris, puts the little grubber kick through. Plenty of players back for Yass, but can they get back into the field of play? Or maybe just, yes, I think just over the line. And if... Oh, no, he's actually not made it back over the line. There you go. My view slightly obscured by the post. So the Queanbeyan Roos will get this one back. There's not a great deal of breeze this afternoon, so... They should be able to get fairly decent value for their kicks. Both sides this afternoon. Taking plenty of time here. 5 minutes gone or thereabouts. We've still got no score. So line dropout goes out to about the 40. And it's Grant who takes it up over the 30 and indeed almost to the 20. He was going full tilt when he got underneath it, so he was able to really capitalise. So they work it to the left and then turn it around with Chris putting a pass in, but it's been lost forward by the Kangaroos, and now Yass will get their first free possession of this afternoon. Or they should do. Yes, picking up a penalty in there as well as the ball went adrift, so plenty of options this Yass side. As you can see, there's 3 Yass players out there in headgear. You've got Chris Rawlinson, you've got Steve Norton, and you've got over on the wing, well, you can't see him at the moment, he's on the near side, that would be Andrew Swaffield, as was mentioned by John Croyder in our preview this afternoon. Yes, keeping the ball alive, as was also mentioned by John in our preview this afternoon, as we saw Steve Norton onto Rawlinson. So the two hats coming together. And again, it's with Rawlinson. Makes his way up over the 40. It's a good set from Yass. Now it's Scott Norton. He turns around, finds Tom Warner. Warner only knows one direction, that's forward. He's put the ball down behind him. It's been picked up by the Roos. And another turnover. I reckon that's Cronin in there. And that's Cronin out of there. Gets to the halfway line. Gets over the halfway line. No one really wanting to put a big tackle in on him. They make plenty of metres to the Roos. That's the 40 they go across now with Nagiri. And Nagiri makes a good 10 metres. Off to the left through Ayers. They keep working it to the far side. Hay. Now they turn it back around this side again with Ayers. Still going. Gets to the 10. Takes 3 Yass players to bring him down. They still haven't got him down. There's the call of held. Jake Toppard was in there pulling back to the line as quickly as he could. But have we got a try? No, we haven't. He's just short. Reached out for it, but his run was curtailed by a couple of defenders in there. There are a couple of the Queanbeyan Kangaroos players who I think thought he'd got over the line. There was a bit of hand clapping going on, but just short. And so Yass, once again, they've got to work it out from the from right down the end. That's the third, maybe the fourth time they've started a set right on their line. So the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, they're being stingy with the real estate this afternoon than a dodgy property developer. They go across to the left now to the Magpies as they look to try and find a way around. If they can't go through, they're going to go around. Probably not a bad tactic for them to try. And they've got numbers. Just wait and see if they can actually work them. They've lost that numerical advantage now as the defence has slid across. That might be Vaticani for them. He gets up to the halfway line. He's made it to the halfway, so on the last tackle, they work it out wide to Swaffield. May have been a slightly forward pass, but it's okay, says the referee. Swaffield puts the kick through. It's picked up by Grant over the 20. Works his way to the far side of the field and gets to the 30-metre line. So there's a huge difference between these two teams. When Yass get the ball, they're starting very deep in their own territory. Queanbeyan, on the other hand, are making metres at will on the first and second tackle, which means Yass have to defend very, very hard. As you see them having to do so again now, courtesy of yet another 20 or 30-metre run. So it's the Kangaroos almost intercept for Junior Vaticani. It's a good thing that he got his hand on it because I suspect that there was enough maroon and white on his outside that it would have been a try. He was really having a go for the intercept, was Vaticani, and he batted the ball to ground, knocked it on. So we've got a scrum to go down. And it will be a Queanbeyan Blues feed this afternoon. Queanbeyan Roos feed this afternoon. So what have the Roos got from the set play from the scrum? Well, I give it to Whanua Tonga. So he makes it to the 20. Now they come across to the right. Steve Dunn. Now further to the right, they've got plenty of overlap. Who do they go to? They go to Nick Grant. Grant cut down 10 metres out. And now it goes with Nagiri. He makes a couple of metres, but not enough. They've still got an overlap here. They've got Tuckwell out in space if they can get it to him quickly. And I think that was the original plan that Reece Elton had, but Elton then wrapped up as he may have changed his mind. Now they go across to the left. Crisp has it. Kick comes through. Dived upon by Yass. That was Willie Peace who got it and managed to stay in the field of play. So he did all right, did Willie Peace. But again, it's a hard task for this Yass Magpies side as they really desperately try to get... They need a big run. They need a couple of big runs because at the moment they're doing so much defending. And the Queanbeyan Kangaroos are not even back up so far that this Yass side, they really are going to tie up. Or juggle, double juggle, and then popped out the back and then onto the ground. Now Norton had it in there. They're calling for 6 again. I didn't see whether the referee signalled. It may not matter as Junior Vaticani gets into space. He's gone the touch line. He's just on this side of the halfway now as he stays in touch. They didn't get the 6 again, so this is the last tackle for them for the Yass side. That is a very interesting kick, I think, from Jacob Toppin is the way to put it. It bounces back towards Yass. It winds up in the hands of Sean Davis, not renowned for his kicking game. He's got it over on the outside there. It might be Smith over on the far wing who had it, and eventually, after all that excitement, well, there we go. We've got a penalty for Yass. Now, Yass, it's their first real scoring opportunity here if they decided to, whatever they decide to do. They take the kick with Rawlinson, just puts the ball into touch. So they work it across to the left. That would be Tom Warner. First real time we've seen the Yass Magpies in a decent attack this afternoon. Where do they go? They go a little bit behind Steve Norton. He did want to hang on to that. Turns around, gets the ball back inside the 20 now. So go across to the left. Vaticani looks to offload, still looking to offload. Hasn't quite gone to ground. And now he goes to ground. It's it across to the right they go. That's Danilchak. The Roos defence up to the task at the moment as the ball is out of everyone's control, and it has been lost forward indeed by the Yass side. So we'll come back out. I think that was on tackle 4. So it should be a scrum. Certainly everyone getting set for a scrum there. Brent Crisp's getting ready to feed it. And it'll be the Queanbeyan Kangaroos to try to bring the ball out from their own end. Defence, the order of the day so far. 14 or so minutes gone. And no score. There's been some desperate defence in there at various stages. Neither side able to assert true authority over the game at present. That was Kylie on a big run. Now Ayers. Slightly high contact in that tackle. Nothing terribly big to worry about on Wiley. We had Kylie again. He's asking for a penalty. Referee's not having a bar of it. Crisp with the kick downfield. It's a towering kick. Swaffield underneath it. He's got it. Takes it on his knees and decides the best thing to do is to just wrap it up tight and stay on his knees. Now he's given it to Steve Norton, and Norton gets 10 metres. That's probably one of the better efforts they've had on their first possession, on their first tackle of any possession set yet. And now with the very dangerous junior Vaticani. He's only scored 3 tries so far this season, but his ability to score tries probably not quite fulfilled so far this year. They get up to the 30. The Yass side, so after making 10 on the first tackle, they've got to work the entire width of the field. Queanbeyan up and defending in numbers as Yass come across to the left and kick from inside the 40. There won't be a 40-20. It falls on just the other side of the 40, in fact. It's taken by Tuckwell, and Tuckwell taken in the tackle there by Swaffield and Danilchak. I think I had Danilchak mistaken for another player earlier this afternoon. Apologies if I was doing that. So Queanbeyan, again, on another set, well into opposition territory as Wiley takes the ball forward to the 30-metre line for them now. Working onto the far side. Saw Hay with it. Now they come back to the right. Crisp with it again. Crisp kicks across field. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. That was... Swaffield, I think, came up, lost the ball, and well, he tried to get it, couldn't hang on to it. It's gone to Tuckwell, and Tuckwell, they really don't come much easier than that in the end. Tuckwell gets his second try for the season, his first for this afternoon, and indeed opens the scoring for you on Bar TV. And here in the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup, 18 minutes gone. It's quite a while it's taken for us to get the account open this afternoon. And it comes off a clever kick from Crisp and a handling error from Yass. And Ryan Tuckwell doing the finishing. 4-0 the score. Won't be the easiest of conversion attempts for Crisp. He's got 46 goals for the season. Could conceivably kick his 50th for the season this afternoon if his side gets a bit of a roll on. Crisp, he's put it across the face. It did curve back a little bit. One of the touch judges trying a little back heel to trap the ball and save the ball boy some work, but to no avail. But at this stage, no conversion, so the scoreline here at Sears Workwear Oval, it's the home side, the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, up 4-0 over the Yass Magpies. Yass restart. It's not the longest of kickoffs. It bounces perhaps a little bit awkwardly. There's no pressure on the Roos to make their way up the field, and so they do so. Nagiri. Was that man, and then they've kicked early from inside the 40 with Crisp. Now that does go down inside the 20, inside the 10 to the in-goal area. Too many wheat bix for Mr. Crisp for breakfast this morning, I suspect. Steve Norton finally picks it up on the other side of the little safety fence that surrounds the ground here at Sears Workwear Oval. So it'll be the Magpies to come out and start a set from the 20. They'll appreciate the extra yardage they've got here, and they get the extra tackle as well. So with the first, they get out to the 30. I reckon that's the second best start they would have had in terms of field position to a set of 6 this afternoon, or a set of 7 in this case. It was McDonald on the previous run. Now Danilchuk up over the 40-metre mark. Starting to get a little bit together here, this Yass side. Norton had the option to run or pass, decided to run. Now it's to Steve Norton. So that was Scott Norton. Steve Norton, well, he's put it on the outside. He's given it to Ryan Tuckwell. Tuckwell's got one courtesy of a handling error this afternoon. Probably could have popped it out the back to Cronin. Don't know if it would have helped, but certainly would have been a better result for him. Cronin now encroaches another 10. So the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, they've really made this Yass defence tire in the first 20 minutes of the game. Are they going to reap dividends on multiple occasions before the half? They may well do. Hay to Crisp. And Crisp gets up to the 10-metre line. I think they'll continue across to the left. They do. That's with Hay. Hay passes quickly. They work towards the line, pushed back into the field of play. Well, they've got options. Which way do they go? Hay kicks across field. Taken by Jake Kiley. Kiley goes to the line, goes over the line, and forces the ball to the ground. And they do indeed reap multiple dividends in a matter of a couple of minutes. It's another try to the Roos. And it's another try to Jake Kiley. He's scored at least 4 in the past 4 weeks, and that makes it 5 in 5. And Yass now paying a price, I think, for really having to defend and defend and defend, and really not stretching Queanbeyan either. This Queanbeyan side with plenty more energy. And Jake Kiley gets his name in the books for the 5th successive week as a try scorer. It was a good little kick from Hay too. And I don't imagine that Brent Crisp is going to have too many problems with this conversion, having missed the first one this afternoon. They don't come much more adjacent. Geordie Doherty and David Charman raise the flags. Tyson Flynn blows the whistle, and the conversion is successful. And that makes it 10-0 with 17 remaining till the break here in the Osbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup match of the round for round 14. I guess try the deep kick off. It doesn't achieve a great deal for them. That's Queanbeyan once again easily able to get it out to the 20, and then on the next tackle out to the 30. They just eat up the metres at that end of the park. It's been very rare that it's taken them 3 tackles to get into opposition territory, and that'll be the 3rd time this afternoon that Queanbeyan have received a penalty in about that part of the park. One was maybe a few metres further up the field, but they've had 2 in almost identical placement there. And Crisp, well, they obviously have the set play plan, because to work it in from the 30-metre line, that seems to be their go. That was Ayers on the run for them. Now they work it across to the right. I reckon that's Hitchens who's come on. It is. 17 was Hitchens. They work it around with Crisp again. Crisp gets the offload away. He finds Dunn. Dunn gets it to that man Hitchens. Hitchens goes for the line, goes over the line, gets the ball to ground. Is that 3 in 7? Yes, indeed it is. 3 tries in 7 minutes. Well, the Raiders did it at the end of the game last week. And now the Roos have done it at midpoint of the first half, and there is a real danger that the floodgates are going to open up here. Boy, the strength from Josh Hitchens to plant that ball was impressive. And you have to give kudos to Brent Crisp for keeping the play alive with an offload in there that, under ideal circumstances, you would have said should not have been made. 25 minutes gone, and now it's 14-4, kick to come. Yass need the next one, and they need it rather desperately. I'm not sure how long Josh Hitchens has been on for. I don't think it was too long. Certainly the first time I'd called him in commentary was only a couple of seconds before he put the got the ball for a second time and planted it over the stripe. And another conversion for Crisp. That gives him 48 goals for the season, and it gives his side a 16-0 lead here. 14 remaining till the break. On Bar TV this afternoon, Chris Coleman with you on a very pleasant day. Other fixtures around the league this afternoon, if you're wondering who's playing who, well, interesting affair over at Greenway, where Tuggeranong hosts the Belconnen United Sharks. I say interesting because Tuggeranong are getting to the point where another couple of wins and they will wrap up that minor premiership. And they're playing the bottom side this afternoon, so you'd think that Tuggeranong would score plenty in that affair. But again, we did see some interesting results late last season in this Canberra Raiders Cup as sides down the bottom upset some of the more fancied opposition up the top. Gungahlin have not had a season to write home about. They host the Woden Valley Rams this afternoon. Woden have got themselves into outright 4th, and we see them looking to cement a spot in the top 4. I'd be hoping for Yass to put in a better performance this afternoon so that Woden could actually overtake the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, but that at this stage of proceedings anyway, and how the game's been played so far, does seem a little bit unlikely. Actually, that's next week's fixtures that have popped up, so my apologies there. The website has decided to jump forward by a week, so my apologies. That's next week's fixtures we're looking at. Let's give you round 14 this afternoon instead. So it's actually Belconnen United Sharks up against Gungahlin Bulls, so that's a game that won't have any bearing on the finals. Woden have the Queanbeyan Blues. I remember talking about that last week. That's what tipped me off. The Queanbeyan Blues, who've become the draw specialists in recent weeks with a couple of recent draws, up against a Woden side that, a win there for them this afternoon. That may well end the Queanbeyan Blues season, or make it very, very difficult for them to get back into the top 4. So a crucial game in prospect there. And West Belconnen, they are hosting the Tuggeranong Bushrangers this afternoon. So that's the situation. Now we see Yass with their first real chance to score. It was Tom Warner who took the ball from dummy half, and he just ran and was brought down just short. Now they work it across to the right. Steve Norton goes on the outside, finds Jai Smith. Smith brought down, 10 out from the line. Plenty of numbers. A couple of long balls will work for them. They need them to be pinpoint accurate. That wasn't one. Chris Rawlinson puts the kick through, and it's picked up, well fielded by Nick Grant. And Grant now, he just for a moment had the chance to really get through the defence. Yass did well to hold him back. Now Yass need to shut down this Queanbeyan side and hold them down at this end. They need something to lift their spirits and their momentum. Some score going into half time would be helpful in that regard. But once again, it's the Kangaroos getting the better of it. Derek Hay takes them up to about 35 from their own line. I think the referee just called 4. But again, look how much distance this Kangaroo side are making. They're making it in tackles after contact. Just makes such a difference. The ball goes to Hay, then to Crisp. Crisp delays the kick till the last possible second. Swarfield traps it with the foot. Somewhat risky with Ryan Tuckwell and Nakuru Nagiri closing on him, but he does dive on the ball. He keeps it safe. And then Steve Norton brings it out to the 40. And Jesse McDonald, as you hear a thud of him into the defensive line from the Queanbeyan Roos. Moving forward. Now, is that Mitch Edwards who's come on? Just wait till he rolls over. I reckon it might be. It is Mitch Edwards who's come on, so he's there in 16. Now, yes, they're starting to get the ball all over. Oh, just a little gap opens up. We saw Norton charge through the gap, and now it comes back to Scott Norton, who again goes high. Ball allowed to bounce by the Roos. It's picked up by, it might be, is that Whanua Tonga over there? It was, as he brought to ground. Oh dear, this is very ordinary looking stuff here from Yass. Nobody laying a hand on Josh Ayers. And look at that, he's made 45 metres. Nobody really had a go at him from this Yass side. There's a couple of very tired-looking Magpies out there. Queanbeyan could put on another couple of tries here because they're looking at very much the fresher side. Hay sends the ball on to, I think it was Crisp. It was. The offload comes and he sends it back to Bradley. So another fresh man, another fresh big man on the field now for the Kangaroos. Across to the left they go. Steve Dunn. Dunn gets the offload, finds Hay. Hay gets support. And there's plenty of teammates around. It was Henderson who was tackled with it. Across to the right, Crisp. Crisp with the kick across field, and that's just too deep. It goes over the head of Tuckwell. I think Tuckwell perhaps didn't quite get the signal, didn't get the memo that that one was coming. And so Yass will get the ball back. They've got 8 minutes to do some damage on the scoreboard. 16-0, not insurmountable for them, but they'd like to see some points before the break. No real urgency from either side to get into the scrum here. So Yass using the opportunity to get a breather. Queanbeyan making sure that they've picked out who they're going to cover off the scrum. Yass had Vaticani on this side and Peace on the other side. I reckon the short side play may have been a little bit more interesting for them to try, but they elected not to, and now they've lost the ball again. Touch judge on this side's put his hands up to say no, just a clean loss in the tackle. And I reckon that might be Hitchcock who's come on now for the Roos. It is in the 14. And now it's done. So due to the ball being lost forward, that was actually tackle 1 there. Suddenly the Roos, well, they look even more dangerous. That's Hay, the halfback. He's ducked one tackle. He's a couple of metres short. They come across to the right. They had Hitchens in. Give it to Crisp. Crisp turns around. He's dropped it back. Found Dunn. Good hit from the Yass defence to push Dunn back to the 10. Now across to the right. Crisp again. as he charges for the line, gets it over the tackler. Arm is still in the air, so he didn't hit the ground. And Brent Crisp, with brute strength, adds to his 2 goals this afternoon with his 6th try for the season. And largely all his own work. 20-0, 6 till half time. And Yass, well, having had a winning streak of 4 or 5 games in a row not so long ago, now I'd say they're odds on to have a losing streak of 3 in a row after this one, because in all probability they're going to be 22 blocked down at the break. Some nice setup work from Hay in there. He's had a good game this afternoon at halfback. I think it's the first time I've seen Hay in action. Crisp takes his time. And absolutely no problem. And that makes it 22-0 to the home side. And they certainly look like they're going to keep a firm hold on 3rd place in the Osbreakers Canberra Raiders Cup competition table after this week. So I was impressed with Crisp in that one too. Had the binoculars on it. Got a new pair of binoculars too. Some nice 10x42s. So not quite as heavy as the 10x50s. Means I can use them a bit more during the game. Got a really good close-up view of that. Now Yass have got the ball here. So they've got a chance to strike back. They need to do it, and do it hard, as it goes from Norton to Vaticani. Vaticani, now he's right in the corner of the field there. The touch judge, I'm not sure what happened to the touch judge. He was actually turned away from the field of play there. Seems like he got something in his eye. Would have been interesting if it had got right over onto the touch line. Now they go through the hands. Is that Benny Warner who's got it in there? It is. Benny Warner had it. It's been stripped away. Now that's been kicked downfield by Josh Ayers. We've seen players put in the sin bin for that in the NRL this season. We've also seen penalties get marched 10 metres upfield for that in the NRL this season. Josh Ayers rolled the dice and may have just gotten away with one there. The Yass players don't look terribly thrilled about it. They've got the penalty. Tekka, he's on in 14 now as playing coach. Gets it across to Rawlinson. And, well, yes, story of the afternoon, really, just as things were potentially looking good. Josh Hitchens for the Kangaroos, and a big hit, and the ball comes free, and the Kangaroos get the ball back. 3 to the break. 22-0, and the Kangaroos, well, they'd fancied themselves to get it up to 28 before half-time. Because every time they get the ball, they are making yards, and they're making them fairly easily. I don't know what Yass can do in the second half either. That's the thing. Hitchcock was on the run in there and kept the ball alive. Not sure who it is down the bottom. It was Hay. Now they come across. Bradley, I think it is. It is. And then Hay, little grubber kick through. It's going to take some time for someone to pick it up for Yass, and it's eventually picked up by the fullback. And Steve Norton takes it out to the 10. Geez, they nearly messed it up there too. Taking a bit of time to get back on side. Ball was unattended for just a fraction of a second. Now that was Scott Norton. Across to the left. They work it all the way across to this far side. And Vaticani has it, and he just decides to try and do it all himself, and he's not going to go down without a fight. Brought to ground just outside the 30 is Junior Vaticani. Now they work it back across towards the centre of the park with Jesse McDonald. He takes it to the 40. But it just seems stilted when Yass have the ball. When Queanbeyan have it, it seems to be so much more fluid, so much more free-flowing. 45 seconds till the break. There's Benny Warner taking it over halfway, and now the kick downfield from Rawlinson. Bounces once, bounces a second time, and then rolls over the touchline with 33 seconds left till half time. And I don't think that the Queanbeyan Kangaroos are going to really rush to get this ball back into a scrum. They've tossed the ball back in. Oh, it was a kick on the last, so it'll be a handover. It was a kick earlier than the last. Kick must have been earlier than the last, so we'll wait and see. Yeah, they're going to get the scrum down here. 10, 8. So the scrum will pack, I think, just in time. Well, half a scrum will pack. But the siren sounds. I don't think anyone's really going to be terribly worried about that we didn't get the scrum down in time for the break. But after 40 pretty entertaining minutes from the Queanbeyan Kangaroos and 40 lacklustre minutes, I think we can say, from the Yass Magpies, it is 22 blot to the third place side in the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup. John Croyder from the Cup joins me for a bit of a conversation. John, not a half of football that the Yass Magpies are going to want to write home about. No,
it wasn't particularly good. They just kept on going side to side, and it's a struggle for any momentum just through the middle. Obviously, the big loss of Sapani Alupu, that is a big loss. He's their big. One big body they've got. Sam Satogi last year got that injury. He's out for all of this year, so they do lack a lot of size, and it's really showing. I think the Roos have been really good. I've been really impressed by Nick Grant at the back. Just been really tidy and getting their sets off to a good start as well. And
every time he gets it, he makes 10, 20, 30 metres on that first possession, and it gives him such a platform to build off.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a few sets where Yass have only been getting to about the 40 on their last tackle, where with Grant he's getting them starting their sets around that same mark. So it's been a really good team performance so far by the Roos. We've seen them, I think nearly every time we've come here, we've seen them have a really strong first half, and sometimes they can die off a little bit in the second half, so they'll be wanting to maintain that and really get an 80-minute performance in.
I've been impressed by Grant as well, and just to add a little further to that, I would say in that first half there would be maybe only 3 occasions where Yass, after the first tackle, were outside the 10 metres at their own end of the park. But I'd say that there's probably only been 3 occasions where Queanbeyan Kangaroos have been inside the 10 metres at their end of the park, and that really is the story of the day. But for the Roos, Henderson's been busy in there for the centres. Crisp has been dominant at 5'8" this afternoon. That's one of the best performances I've seen from him in quite some time, and maybe he's getting close to that form that we saw from him last year. And the combination that he's developed with Derek Hay, I think it's the first time I've seen Hay. I certainly don't recall seeing him in a full game in the past. So they really do get on well with each other. But the forwards, it's got to be really, really soul-destroying for defenders to sit there and see, well, there's Dunn, then there's Kylie, then there's Ayers, then off the bench you've had Baxter and Bradley and Hitchens come in. It just never stops. And Yass, you could see they were running out of puff at about the 17-minute mark, and bang, the first try came at the 18th and has been fairly regular since then.
Yeah, exactly. I feel as soon as that first try was scored, the floodgates opened, and I've been really impressed by Steve Dunn, particularly. I think he's done a great job, yeah. So I'd say he's been the standout. Tom Warner is the one to look out for Yass, but I feel like he's only really getting the ball when they're up in their own 20, which has been once or twice. Most of the time he's been just busy in defence. He hasn't had a lot of those big runs which we're used to seeing from him.
I'm just looking at the Yass side, and I'm trying to think, Junior Vaticani, he's a threat, but he's really hardly threatened, and I think they've probably gone to him too much. Willie Peace hasn't done a lot for them in attack. They've hardly got the ball out to this wing either, out to Swarfield, so we haven't seen a lot of that. You mentioned Tom Warner in there, but Jesse McDonald's probably had a bit of the ball, but Danilchak, he's a dangerous player, really a set-up man, but haven't seen a lot of him. Jacob Toppin was patchy, and eventually Jared Tecker coming in and taking over in the dummy half role. So there's plenty of questions that this Yass side need to ask themselves over there in the sheds at the moment. Hopefully they come up with some answers in the second 40.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll be looking to see Benny Warner and Tom Warner. That's where they need to go. They need to try and straighten up their attack a bit. They're making a lot of meters, but most of them are just sideways, as I said earlier. So we have seen a lot of McDonald, and we've seen a lot of Vatakani. Hopefully we don't see as much of them in the second half, and they can have a bit of ball when it looks like a try might be on, not trying to get the ball out around the 40.
No, too true. So we're in the break in the Ospreakers Canberra Raiders Cup. Round 14, match the round. We are here at Sears Workwear Oval in Queanbeyan, where it is the home side doing everything just nicely at the moment to hang on to their third spot on the ladder and mount a challenge to move up to the top 2 over the next 4 weeks of the local rugby league competition here. The Queanbeyan Kangaroos lead the Yass Magpies 22 points to 0. The players returning to the field. And the second half about to get underway here at Sears Workwear Oval. Freebody Oval if you prefer. Right next door to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos Club. And good afternoon to everyone in the clubhouse who's watching this afternoon. I know there's a few people who stay up in the clubhouse behind the glass and with all the bar facilities nearby. Can't say I blame, but it's a pretty good afternoon here, especially for supporters of the home side as they take a 22-0 lead into the second period, which is now underway. And we've got a high tackle to start things off. Nothing terribly serious to worry about in there, but the initial contact was indeed high. I think it was Josh Hitchens, who was brought to ground. And so Queanbeyan, well, it's been the pattern of the first half of the game. I don't see any reason why it would change to start the second. They, again, will begin a set in good possession. A good position. It either comes from a penalty or from just good defence. And Yass not being able to get the ball down there. This time it's from the restart. And immediately, well, Hitchens gets the ball after the penalty and takes it up over the halfway line. And the Queanbeyan Kangaroos onto the attack. Is that done in there? It is. He's at the 40. Across to the right they go. Now they come back to the left. Dunn was the dummy run, actually. Hay, long ball, gets it, blocks to Whanua Tonga. Whanua Tonga brushes the first tackle, treats the second like a speed bump and plants the ball over the line for a try. Brute strength. And Whanua Tonga didn't see a great deal from him in the first half. In the second half, he started it quite nicely. Less than a minute, I'd reckon. Certainly less than 2. And Tonga treating defenders with utter contempt. Pushes off one, goes over the top of another, and he gets a try. 26-0. And Yass now, well, if it was a hill decline before, it really has become a mountain. And Yass, I know the high tackle. I don't think there was anything deliberate in it. It was just a little bit careless in the tackle. But yeah, a high tackle at the other end of the park, penalty, 10-metre run, 10-metre run. Try time. It just makes it sound all so simple. Crisp with a conversion attempt that goes to the left of the uprights. The score remains 26-0 with still 38 minutes to go. And what has not been an enjoyable afternoon for the Yass Magpies has become a little less enjoyable for them as they restart again. They've done a lot of that this afternoon. And already, once again, they're up to the 20. And now to the 30. It's just so easy, and it's taking 2-3 Magpies every time. That was done on that run. But the Yass side, well, they get a chance to strike back a little bit here. Oh, just a smidgen forward in there, so it'll be a scrum. Magpies to feed from 30 out. Although, well, this will be a chance for us to see if they've actually got any change to their attacking mindset. Rawlinson sends it across, finds Willie Peace. Peace pops it out the back. Oh, and it's gone straight to Grant, is it? Is that Grant? No, it's not Grant. It's Ayers, rather. Ayers then finds Hay. Oh, jeez. When it rains, it pours. And on a beautiful sunny day, it really shouldn't be raining or pouring. Bradley for the Kangaroos. He has it. Hitchcock in a dummy half. Now finds it across to Nagiri. Nagiri making his way across field. And they're just attacking at will. This Queanbeyan Kangaroos side, and they just look far too good for their opponents this afternoon. Hitchcock again. Now he finds Hay. Hay gets it onto Ayers. Popped it out the back to Hitchcock. I'm just looking. Is Crisp out there? There he is. He's a little bit further back, directing traffic from behind play at the moment. Hay goes for a run. And I reckon that was Hitchcock for his third involvement. And the kick comes through. Chasing it through is Grant. But it's actually grounded over the dead ball line, and it'll come back to the 20. Yass are bringing it out very, very quickly. And the referee's making them wait to play, and the tap is eventually made by Steve Norton. And Queanbeyan were up very quickly, up too quickly, and also up a little bit high. So Jesse McDonald, who had the ball, has drawn the penalty. Now, I just wonder whether this is a referee saying we just need to be, we don't need this game to degenerate. We need this game to be played in good spirit all the way through. So Tyson Flynn, he's had a quick word to, what was the 2-12s? I think it was McDonald and Ayers. And yes, they'll get the ball right on halfway. So they tap it with peace. It goes to Steve Norton. Steve Norton finds Edwards, and Edwards has lost the ball. It's been picked up by Hitchens. Jeez. That is just so difficult to watch this Yass side this afternoon. They are a far better side than what they have shown here today. And once again, it's the Roos on the attack. There's Nagiri on the last one. Then it goes from Crisp onto Dunn. Dunn with some quick hands. He's got some support on the far side. Is that Cronin? I think it might be. It's a try right over on the far side of the field. I do always find it difficult to pick up on this ground at the far side. It is Cronin. There we go. Although they've said number 4, Brian Cronin, he's actually wearing 3. Because I could see Henderson was nowhere near it when that one was scored. Oh, jeez. This has the potential to turn into an avalanche this afternoon. That's 2 tries in 7 minutes since the break. Lost ball in the middle of the park, and it turns into a try just seconds later. And there's, again, nothing flashy about it from Queanbeyan. It was just basic stuff. They just, a couple of passes wide, ran around the outside, Cronin into space. No conversion, and the score remains 30-0, 32 to the break. Yass have received the ball from precisely 1 kickoff this afternoon. They've kicked it off 7 times, including the restart just after half time, or the restart for the second half. And this Queanbeyan Kangaroos side, they've just, with military-like precision, just made their way up the ground and up the ground and up the ground, and they do it again. And you see them, they're making yardage, they're making this Yass side look flat. That was Tonga. He's a big man for a winger, isn't he? Now they go through the hands. Crisp gets it onto Nagiri. And, well, what else can you say? They've given it to Grant, and Grant has made another 45-metre run. They're shelling peas now, this Queanbeyan side. They can start raffling off tries here, I think. I reckon that's Nagiri. As he's eventually put to ground. They've got heaps of numbers this side. It was actually Hitchcock in there. And now too much ballyhoo and carry on in the tackle. Penalty. Referee's calling for the clock to stop for a second. That's because we've got a player, a Yass player, down in back play. It's one of the guys with the headgear. Steve Norton, it is the fullback, as he gets up. Makes his way back into the defensive line. So, to my way of thinking, the Kangaroos will have 6 tackles here, and they'll have these 6 tackles from 10 metres out, right next to the posts. They've got heaps of numbers on this side. And they tap it. It's with Hitchens. Hitchens pushes and pushes. He's got one off the bench this afternoon. He's lifted up past the horizontal and dumped. And the referee, he agrees with that assessment. And so another penalty. Misery upon misery. Hitchcock with the tap. It was Hitchens again. It's the double hitch. Some sort of a knot, and that's what Yass have been tied into as the ball goes to Grant. I reckon it might be, and he's just shot through the defensive line. And it may even be a fairly loose use of that term as well, because Yass, they're almost starting to look like they would rather be anywhere else but here at than here at Sears Workwear Oval this afternoon. And that's the 5th try to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos backline this afternoon. Tonga, Henderson, Tuckwell and Crisp have all scored previously. And now Nick Grant has one, 34-0. Still half an hour to go. It was piggyback penalties. I really don't think that made too much difference in there. They've scored it early on the tackle count on the 3rd one, so all those penalties allowed them to do really was to get set. He's had a bit of practice over there on that far side this afternoon, has Crisp. And he's put that one over the black dot. So in addition to taking his side to a 36-0 lead, that is his 4th conversion for this afternoon, which means that's 50 goals for the season so far to Brent Crisp for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. .28 to go. It's going to be a long afternoon for the Yass side, and they've got a long ride home, a long drive home afterwards as well. Wouldn't want to be sitting next to the coach. I don't think Jared Teck is going to be a terribly happy man. Savo. So the Kangaroos, they go again, and again you see them just making distance in the tackle every single time. That time it was Ayers. They're starting to have a bit of fun out there. Seeing players jumping over tackles or attempted tackles, or at least trying to. That was Steve Dunn who did that, and now spinning in that tackle was Hitchcock. They get the ball back to Crisp, and he puts up another high bomb. Underneath it is Steve Norton, and Steve Norton has wrapped it up. But again, he's covered so quickly. Swaffield Would that be the first time he's touched the ball in the second half? There are some Yass players out there, I reckon, who haven't even seen the ball in the second half. Vaticani, he's been, well, about their best this afternoon, I think, for Yass, him and McDonald. It's been a pretty skinny field. Now, we've got a couple of Queanbeyan players with their hands up in the air, and there's a Queanbeyan player down on his hands and knees. I think it might be Hitchens. Not sure what's happened. He's copped a bump to the head by the looks of that. He's grabbing at his left eye. So maybe he's copped a finger in the eye or an elbow in the eye, whatever it is. He's coming off his Hitchens. Disappointing. He's had a very good game and a particularly good 5 or so minutes leading up to this stage of proceedings. Yass play the ball. They bring it out from their own half. Or they try to bring it out from their own half, I should say. They're still well in their own territory. And the kick. Now the kick from inside the 40 to nobody. Bounces to the 30, but Grant has it well covered. Picks it up at the 20. Turns it around and gets back up to the 30 where he's wrapped up by Jai Smith. And Jesse McDonald, probably the other of the best players out there for Yass this afternoon. Now that's Henderson, Tyrone Henderson for the Kangaroos. And believe it or not, I've actually managed to miss there on my score sheet that Cronin had scored a try, so it's actually everyone 1 through 6 for the Kangaroos has scored this afternoon. Is Derek Hay still out there? He'd be looking to get into the action now, you'd think. Yeah, he is. He's got the headgear on. He's on this side. That was Chris. Slides through, gets under a high arm, keeps on going, turns it around, gets under another high arm, and then goes to ground. The referee's got to have blown the whistle in there. He has. He's given a penalty. So Tyson Flynn, no surprise. And no surprise really that it's a Queanbeyan side deciding to play on. They're looking at plays and they're looking here at all sorts of options, but this time they've given the ball away. Oh no, I've worked out what I did here. I've given Henderson a try on my sheet and he hasn't actually scored one yet. So I was right the first time. It's 5 of 1 through 6. So apologies. Hands of Tyrone Henderson. He hasn't got himself in the scorebook yet, but the way they're going, you wouldn't argue against it. They've got 24 minutes and 36-0, and they look like scoring almost every time they've got the ball. The Queanbeyan Kangaroos, but it's Yass taking it forward. But again, they've only got to their 20. They just look flat and about 4 yards slower. That was Tom Warner in there, trying to do something different, but he just runs it out and into another tackler. They get the offload from Benny Warner. And then it was Tecker who was taken in the tackle. They're just unable to make any distance at all, this Yass side this afternoon. And again, they kick from well inside their own half, and again they kick straight to Nick Grant. Grant, 30 metres, makes it to the 40, gets past one, runs into 3 or 4 Yass players, but again gets the ball back into the other half of the field. So the Kangaroos, they'll start at the part of the park where it's very easy for them to make more metres, and Yass, they've got to just keep dropping back and looking more and more tired. They make another 10 to the Kangaroos. Coming across to the left, it goes to Hay. Hay to Ayers. Ayers hasn't scored yet this afternoon, but that may change as he gets up to the 20, keeps going, drags players with him. So that's what, about 25 metres by my reckoning. Rough maths as he gets there through the hands. It was Wiley, Baxter and Crisp. Crisp is tackled. They're still inside the red zone. Baxter again. Baxter, still going Baxter. Last tackle for the Kangaroos. What do? They give it to one of the big men. That's Dunn. Dunn tries to just use his body weight to get over the line, but there are too many Magpies in his way. And so Dunn hands the ball over, and Yass will... Gee, I wish I had $1 for every time this afternoon I'd said this. Yass will bring it out from about a metre from their own line. And lo and behold, not get very far. Sean Davis it is that time who takes it for them. That Jai Smith moving infield, I think it is. And I've heard a whistle. Interesting, we haven't seen a water boy sent off this afternoon. Ball goes across to the left. There's still time, I suppose. A little run from dummy half for Steve Norton. That's actually been a fairly effective play. He's also, I'm not quite sure what the signal was from Tyson Flynn the first time, but you see there the second time it's up high. So yes, well, they'll get a set, and they'll get a set that they can start in Queanbeyan territory. What can they do with it? Vaticani will take the tap. There's a couple of options. They go through the hands before it winds up with Tom Warner, and Tom Warner, well, he can make 10 metres and does. Still going, brought to ground just inside the 30. It's taking an age to get to his feet. Now Benny Warner turns it around, pops it to Rawlinson. Rawlinson to Norton. Norton then to Jesse McDonald. And McDonald, he's lost the ball in there. That's come free, but it's a forward pass in there as well. Lost forward. And, gee, it's difficult to watch this. I know this Yass side is better than this. I really do. They have completely lost their way this afternoon. I don't know what you can put it down to. This is potentially their season on the line this afternoon as well. I know they've got the bye to come next week. But if Woden were to win this afternoon, Yass will find themselves 3 points outside the top 8. Oh, sorry, outside the top 4. With only a handful of games to go. And Queanbeyan, well, they're just rolling on and rolling on. And again, you see them up over halfway in the first couple of tackles of a set. And once again, it's one of their big men. That was Ayers who had it over the halfway line. And then it was Wiley who got another 10 metres into opposition territory. It's just so easy for this Queanbeyan Kangaroos side. And they're making it look easier and easier as the afternoon goes on. Okay, they're calling for it way over on the left. Get ready for the crossfield kick from Crisp. Crisp does have the crossfield kick. Good take. Good take for the Yass Magpies. Not sure who it was who actually flew up for it. It was Jai Smith. I lost him in some glare off a couple of cars there as he went up, so had to catch on for a sec. So he's had a fairly decent afternoon with very limited opportunities as Smith. We've seen Norton, Steve Norton, was in at dummy half, and now Vaticani. Vaticani pushes off the first tackle, pops a little offload. This is better play from Yass as they work it through the hands, get it over to this side of the field. There's McDonald and then Peace, Willie Peace. He's still going, gets to the 40-metre line. So, oh yes, can they find some consolation points here? Because there's 18 minutes to go. They're down by 36. I think it's a gap bridge that no one could overcome. They start to throw the ball around with a bit of abandon as we see it with Ben Davis, and he's brought to ground just inside the 30. Now a scurry through from Toppin. Toppin pops it over to McDonald. McDonald, well, he gives the Yass side a highlight for the afternoon. They've been few and far between, but that's a pretty good-looking try, I think. We'll wait for the referee to signal it. He gives it. And Jesse McDonald gets a try for this afternoon. Number 4 for the season for him. And it does mean that Yass avoid the dreaded whitewash this afternoon. 36-4, kick to come, 17 remaining. I've just worked something out, by the way. Just noticed this. The first try for this afternoon, while we wait for the conversion attempt for Yass. But the first try for this afternoon came in the 18th minute. And Queanbeyan then scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tries. And that 7th try came in the 51st minute. Which means that they were actually going at better than a point a minute in that 33-minute period. From the 18th to the 51st minute, they scored 36 points. So it was the line break from Jacob Toppin. And then the finish from Jesse McDonald. So 36-4. Plenty of time being taken with the conversion. And Toppin converts. It's his 11th goal for the year. And it's 36 points to 6 with quarter of an hour remaining here in Queanbeyan this afternoon. As the plane makes its way into Canberra Airport over the far side of the ground. Kangaroos kick off again. It's taken by Rawlinson, and well, he looks for anyone to give it to. Gives it one of his bigger fellas, and they bring it out 10. Now it's with Peace. Peace goes across the far side of the field. It was Steve Norton who had it, and then I think it's Vaticani who's in the middle of that group. Ball comes out. Norton had another chance with it. Had support. And they get to the 40-metre line at their own end of the park. Now Toppin takes the ball to just short of halfway. So Yass making a little bit of ground here. Rawlinson and Steve Norton pair up to make another few. They're 5 on the right side of halfway. Turn it around through Scott Norton and then Vaticani. They're at the 40 and it's the last tackle. What have they got kicking wise? Well, Scott Norton puts it deep down. It bounces once, it bounces a second time, and Nick Grant is able to leave it to go over the dead ball line at the end of the ground. And well, Queanbeyan, they've started plenty of sets in good field position. This time they'll start one on their 20. That's the good news. The bad news is it'll be a 7-tackle set, so what kind of damage can they do with 7 tackles? Let's find out. Well, the first one is just a tap and run straight up the middle of the park for Nuatonga, but he makes 10. So that's on the free tackle. And now the count begins at 1. They'll work it across to the left. No, they go the other way. They had Henderson all out on his own on this left wing for a moment. They've elected really to work it on the other side of the park. That's Josh Ayers. He's been very good this afternoon and really dominant and just continually softening up the Yass Magpies defence. And as I said, it's just big man after big man. Now it goes to Derek Hay. Hay bounces out of one tackle, bounces out of a second tackle. Brought to ground, what is he, about 35 out. They're directly in front of the posts. Long ball to Crisp. Crisp shapes to kick and then pops it out the back door. There's plenty of numbers. Oh, he's got away with that. Referee's calling for a try in there. And it's Nakuru Nagiri who's planted the ball over there. It is the hardest part of the ground to pick up play in here at Sears Workwear Oval. But it's Nagiri. But again, you can chalk that down to the influence of Crisp. Shape to kick, fooled everyone in the Yass side, and suddenly was able to make another 15 metres. And so now that would be, where are we at? We're at the 68th minute. They've scored 40 points in 50 minutes. Chris with try assists galore this afternoon. He's set him up. He's had a good kicking game. Far and away the best player on the field this afternoon. And with 11 minutes remaining. Well, what's he got? Stabs it through. 42. 42 points to 6.
Successful by number 6, Frank takes the score to Kangaroos 42, Yass 6.
So let's just recap this. I'll do it in a couple of minutes. We'll actually sort of recap the game in a couple of minutes, but it's an amazing period of dominance, that Queanbeyan side. Just looking at the numbers that I've got on my score pad here, an amazing period of dominance where they've just put Yass to the sword time and time again, and now they might do it again, because Whanua Tonga, once he gets up and going, he's very hard to stop. That might be the only way to do it, is to do what Willie Peace did, jump on him piggyback style and slow him down that way. But he made it out to the halfway, and Queanbeyan now worked the ball across the field. It was Kylie who put the ball, who was brought to ground right on the 50-metre line. They go around the outside. I think the ball's been lost there. I'm not sure if it's been picked up by... It has been picked up again by Queanbeyan. So when your luck's in, your luck's in. Now they come across through the middle of the field. Crisp again. That's a little kick. Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me that's going to be one of the softer tries you'll see all afternoon. And I reckon it might be a double for Brian Cronin. I think it's Cronin who's got it. There's high fives galore going on out there. There's plenty of happy players.
Tiger the Kangaroos takes the score to 46. Yass 6.
And when it's way over in the far side of the park and the ground announcer doesn't even identify who the scorer is, you know that there's plenty of difficult options. It was hard for me to pick from here because it was at speed. It might have been Tuckwell. Cronin was in the vicinity. I'm sure Cronin was there, but I reckon it was Tuckwell who actually got onto the ball. I'm going to give it to him. It's his second for this afternoon. The more important part was that once again it came from Crisp with a kick through, precision kick. It is a bit hard for this Yass side now. They are really starting to find their motivation flagging. It's always difficult when the margin's out past 30 points late in the game. Chris not passing off the kicking duties to anyone else, tries the soccer style kick, looking for the top left corner of the net to get it past the keeper in the penalty shootout, but it's waved away. So it remains 46-6. And I'm going to leave it in the books as a Tuckwell try. But a reminder, of course, all stats that you get here on Bar TV are kept by us here and are not official Canberra Region Rugby League match stats. The Kangaroos want 50. They want to go in again. You can tell this by the way they're running here. Yes. Well, that's probably the best tackle they've made, the best gang tackle they've made all afternoon. It's taken to the 73rd minute of the game to get there. It was Kylie. Had Ayers ready, but there's no pass to him from Elton at dummy half. Elton went himself. And geez, they look as fresh as they did in the 5th minute, this Queanbeyan side. Scoring points is very good for the for the Constitution. That was Elton with the kick. Now it comes to Swaffield. Swaffield runs across. He's wrapped up middle of the park. Rawlinson. He's given it out the back. That's probably McDonald in there. He was swamped as soon as he got the ball. It actually wasn't McDonald. McDonald's out the side somewhere. Now we got Peace. Peace evades the first tackle. Gets to the 40. 6 minutes remaining. I'm not sure what else there is for Yass this afternoon. This is going to damage their standing on the table. It's going to damage their for and against in a big way. And it may well be good night nurse for them. There's McDonald. McDonald gets to just short of halfway. Across to the right. Rawlinson. Peace. Peace has the winger on his outside in Smith. Elects not to use him. Brought down just short of 30. Last tackle. So Chris Rawlinson with a chip kick over the top. Scott Norton tries to get to it. It goes further forward now, and it's bouncing around the in-goal area. And is that Junior Vaticani who scored? It is indeed. Just reward for him this afternoon. Him and McDonald, they've been really the two best for Yass, and that's the two best by quite some margin in my book. So the kick coming through, and then the follow-up kick coming through, and Vaticani chasing and chasing. With 5 minutes remaining, Yass get their second try for the afternoon, but we can just about shut the books on this one.
Try the Yass takes the score to 46-10.
Junior Vaticani. So who was it? Rawlinson and Scott Norton with the kicks. Now 46-10. Not going to be an easy conversion from the junction. He's out of the 30 almost. The junction of the 30 and the sideline. So there'll be plenty of distance on this. There's no wind, so if he kicks it straight and true, it'll be a conversion for Topham, but they don't get much harder than this. On a still day, that is. Oh! He's popped it over, so a good conversion. Well done to Jacob Toppin, and he gets Yass up to 12. 46 points to 12 with 3 minutes remaining, and I might start to run through the match summary at this stage of proceedings. Keep an eye on the game as it unfolds for the next couple. But we had the arm wrestle at the start of this game. That arm wrestle lasted, roughly speaking, 15 minutes, and then there was a spell in there of 2 or 3 minutes where the Yass side had to defend and defend and defend. And then when Queanbeyan had a good attacking opportunity, they moved the ball wide across the field with a very good kick from Crisp. There was a Yass handling error in there. It was, I'm not sure whether it was Peace or Smith or Swaffield. I can't remember who it was now, but there was a Yass handling error. Player tried to catch the Crisp crossfield kick. It bounced out of his hands straight into the breadbasket of Ryan Tuckwell. Tuckwell scored in the corner. That was in the 18th minute, and that started a truly remarkable passage of play. Over the next 33 minutes, so from the 18th minute to the 51st minute, the Queanbeyan Kangaroos went nuts and scored 36 points in 33 minutes. It was a procession at stages. Jake Kiley used his strength to score his 5th try in as many weeks, at least. Scored under the posts following a kick from Hay. Hitchens came off the bench and scored almost immediately, courtesy of a Crisp offload. Chris should have been wrapped up in a tackle, but wasn't. Then Brent Crisp scored one for himself. Hay set it up, and Crisp held the ball up to score over the top of a tackler. It was 22-0 at the break. The onslaught continued immediately after half-time. Queanbeyan were back in the books. Probably only 90 seconds, if not less than that, after half-time when Whenua Tonga treated the Yass defence with what can only be described as ill-disguised contempt. He just pushed off one, ran over another, forced his way through to put the ball down, to take him out to 26-0 after 41 minutes. 47th minute, it was another try. It was Brian Cronin who scored. Yass lost the ball in the middle of the park, 2 passes and a speedy run later, and it was Cronin who was over in the corner. And then in the 51st minute, off the back of piggyback penalties, it was Nick Grant who hit the ball at speed. 36-0 it was in the 51st. Yass got a consolation try in the 63rd minute, courtesy of a Jacob Toppin line break. It was Jesse McDonald who scored there. Then the Roos added another couple. You've seen those recently. In the 68th and the 72nd minute, it was Nagiri after a crisp dummy kick turned into a passing play. And then Tuckwell scored in the corner off yet another crisp kick. Final score of the day was the Yass try to Junior Vaticani, following a couple of kicks from Yass, which was converted. But that made it 46 points to 12. But one of the most comprehensive and clinical displays of rugby league I think we've seen from the Queanbeyan Kangaroos in quite some time this afternoon. Interestingly enough, we spoke before the game about their scoring threat in the forward line, and Kylie, in the forward pack I should say, Kylie and Nagiri both delivering again this afternoon. So try 7 for the season to Kylie, try 9 for the season to Nagiri. But you look at that back line for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos today, and the try scorers: Nick Grant in the 1 jersey, Whenua Tonga in the 2, Brian Cronin in the 3, Ryan Tuckwell in the 5, Brent Crisp in the 6. That's a pretty potent back line there. Plenty of conversions as well from Crisp through the course of the afternoon, and after leading 22 blot at the break, it is finished up 46 points to 12. John Croyder from the Canberra Raiders Cup standing. You want to say anything, John, or have I sort of summed it all up here? Is there anything else we need to cover? He's shaking his head at me.
No, it's all good. I just wanted to know who you thought was your man of the match.
I really think this afternoon you could pick anyone from that Queanbeyan Kangaroos side. When you have a look at it, Grant was dangerous out of the back. Hay had a great first half in the halfback role. Steve Dunn brought it up repeatedly for them. Jake Kiley continued to score as he has done on numerous occasions lately. But really, I think the man who was in absolutely everything this afternoon. I hate plumping for the guys in the halfback or 5/8, but I think really he set up everything this afternoon. He had that many try assists in there. You can't really go past Brent Crisp, can you?
No, I don't think so. I'll go chase him up.
You'll get that interview on Bar TV in a little while. Brent Crisp will pick up a $50 voucher from the Raiders group of clubs. You've heard the try scorers there for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. For the Yass Magpies, it was a try to Junior Vaticani and a try to Jesse McDonald, with 2 conversions to Jacob Toppin. 9 tries altogether, 2 of them to Ryan Tuckwell, by the way, for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. So 9 tries is 36, and 5 conversions to Brent Crisp. Does that sound right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does indeed. And there's not a great deal else that we can say this afternoon, other than it has been a dominant performance from the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. They've won this one 46 points to 12. They'll hang on to 3rd spot on the competition ladder in the Austbrokers Canberra Raiders Cup for 2018. Woden will be doing their best to catch up with them. And, well, there is a possibility, I suppose. I don't know what's happening at the grounds, but there's a possibility this afternoon that the Queanbeyan Kangaroos could actually jump up to the 2nd spot, depending on how things have gone for the West Belconnen Warriors. You can get the full details on the crrl.com.au website. Next weekend, boy, we've got a few interesting games there next weekend. We've got the Tuggeranong Bush Rangers up against the Belconnen United Sharks, the Gungahlin Bulls against the Woden Valley Rams. But the real interest will run around the next match, which is the Blues versus the Roos. Big Saturday afternoon game that one will be. And the West Belconnen Warriors against the Goulburn Workers Bulldogs. So that's next weekend. Not a great deal else that we can say here other than congratulations to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, and I look forward to your company again next weekend with more Ospreakers Canberra Raiders Cup action. And if you happen to be near Canberra or want to keep tabs with the Canberra Raiders game tonight, I'm about to go and disappear from here. Get over to GIO Stadium and call that one for Mix 106.3 here in the nation's capital. So have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. I'll catch up with you in 7 days' time on behalf of everyone at the Canberra Raiders Cup and Bar TV. This is Chris Coleman signing off from Sears Workwear Oval in Queanbeyan.